Hello, and welcome to Underneath the Hat podcast. I am your host, author, entrepreneur, educator, Cherie Simmons. And this is season 4. Speak over yourself. Make sure you like and subscribe on the YouTube page for Underneath the Hat podcast. You can also check us out on Overcast, Anchor, Spotify, Apple, Google, Breaker, and Pocket Cast. All of those podcast platforms. Don't forget to be willing to share, be engaged. You can post questions and comments. You can also sew into the podcast with Cash App and $ YLLT 2017 or through Zelle at underneath the hat at gmail.com. Don't forget to check out my books too. Underneath the Hat. Boop, and it's that size for a reason, which are all available on Amazon. Just type in my first and last name. So today is the day. This is the last official episode of the podcast, Underneath the Hat. It's a little bittersweet, but I'm excited because the way God has been moving, He's been revealing to me why today was chosen for that day months ago. And I'm glad that I listened to Him. I had no idea why. At first, He was telling me to clear my plate, but I'll reveal to you in a few minutes that it all makes sense now. So I have been doing this podcast since March. Let me get the right date. It's been 4 years. I didn't realize that it's been 4 years since I've been doing this podcast. And so I decided, the Lord showed me in the end of last year that He wanted me to clear my plate. I didn't realize what that meant. I just knew I needed to follow His instructions because He has not steered me wrong. And so this is the first thing that I was told to let go of. And when I started this podcast, it was really focusing on my journey through infertility, which is what my book Is That Size for a Reason was based on. And it was me going through the process of IVF, sharing the videos of me going through the egg retrievals, giving myself the shots, going through the whole process from beginning to end because I was naive to what it actually took to go through it. And the fact that I only knew of one other person that had experienced it, but I also knew that there were other women out there who were suffering in silence. God allowed for me to use my voice to share my story so that other women didn't feel like they were alone, like I did going through this. And so that's how the podcast started. And then it ended up being a radio show for about 4 or 5 months. And then once I realized how much money I was putting into it being a radio show, I was like, I could figure this out on my own. And so I started being my own engineer instead of paying somebody to do it. And that's where the podcast was born, for Underneath the Hat. So through Underneath the Hat, I have gone through panel discussions where we have talked about mother-daughter relationships and father-child relationships and friendships. And I've had panels with these wonderful women that have come and opened themselves up and been transparent and shared their stories to audiences. I have had a one-woman show around my book Underneath the Hat, where I read sections of my book to an audience, and they got to see and hear the book in real time from me feeling the feelings and saying the words. We know audiobooks now, but to actually see the author of the story that was written that actually went through those things in front of you live, reading it and feeling it and sharing my emotions with the audience was a moment I will never forget. And people have actually asked me when was I going to come back and do it again. This podcast has taken me to some places that I never expected. Never expected. And I have met some wonderful people because of it. And so my last season, season 3, was all about blessings and lessons. And that was a topic that God had given me. I told you all, God speaks to me in my quiet moments, is when I'm showering or when I'm in my car, when I'm not distracted by a lot of noise, is when I hear the most from him. And so a lot of the ideas and the things and the direction for this podcast have come to me in those moments. And so last season, it was all about blessings and lessons. And so I want to show you how it all started with the outline of what it looked like, what our opening was. So here was the opening of season 3. And so with that opening, I created that on Canva because I love me some Canva. And then one of my favorite guests, I've had her on pretty much every season, has been Miranda Chanel. And so I'm going to play this clip from season 3 around blessing and lessons. So that is a snippet from season 3, blessings and lessons. I was blessed to have had so many um, visitors or guests during that season that just came on and shared their biggest lesson or a blessing that has helped to change the trajectory of their life, or the biggest lesson that they've encountered, and how has it directed and moved them into who they are now. And so I just want to thank all of those people that have shared themselves with me on this podcast. I know that so many of them were afraid to be open, and I want to thank you all so much for trusting me with your story and trusting me to be able to ask the right questions so that you feel comfortable enough sharing. Um, I realize people don't have to be nice to you. And like I said before, this whole experience has been new to me. And those that know me know that I'm very quiet. I keep to myself, and I'm okay with that. And so for God to thrust me into this opportunity onto this platform, and I may not have as many viewers or listeners as other people, it was never about the notoriety for me. It was really a sense of therapy for me because I got a chance to release and open my mouth. I've been quiet for so long, from being a kid to being a young adult to being married once and the first lady and then being divorced and then marrying again and then being divorced again and now dating and being an educator and an author. I have been quiet in my own little corner, in my own little chair, as they say in the Cinderella movie with Brandy. I was okay with being by myself. And for me to have taken this leap and trusting God to put me and thrust me into this opportunity to where I am using a voice that I didn't realize I had to show people that they're not alone is a blessing all in itself. I am proud of me. I am proud of the progress that I have made. I am proud of the opportunities that I've taken. I'm proud of the fact that I found comfort in being uncomfortable. One thing about me, I'm very adventurous. I have done some things that other people would wince at and run from and cuss at if you ask them to do it. From swimming with dolphins when I really can't swim twice, to zip lining 3 times, once in Florida over bodies of water, once in Wisconsin in mountains, and I can't remember the other place. But I've zip lined 3 times. I have skydived in Texas, jumped from 8,000 feet in the air. I have jet ski. I'll never do that again. That's the most traumatized I've ever been in my life. I have bungee jumped off the Stratosphere Hotel in Las Vegas. I have done roller coasters off the top of the Stratosphere Hotel. I have done some crazy things. So I have never had a fear of doing things that other people shied away from. And if I could trust God to bring me home and make me touch the ground again in all of those situations, I took a leap of faith and trusted Him when He threw me into this arena. And if I could have helped one person as I pass along, then my living has not been in vain. I've helped a lot of people with this podcast that I don't even know about and some that I do. And it feels good to know that me sharing my story has given them the courage to be able to share theirs, or at least to realize I'm not by myself. And again, I thank you all so much for your support. You have no idea how much I appreciate you for all of the 4 seasons, for being guest on my show, for sewing into the show, posting a question, um, sharing the episode, talking about the episode, watching the episode, listening to the podcast. I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you, because people do not have to be nice to you. People don't have to be nice to you. And I appreciate everything that everyone has done because you did not have to do it. And so, as we draw to the end of the episode, I want to share with you what God has revealed to me. So, a couple of months ago, I announced this in November that it would be the end. And God, the way God speaks to me, He speaks to me in whispers and He speaks to me in my dreams. And He has shown me that He wanted me to open myself up and be more transparent, even more than I have been. Be more transparent by speaking through songs because I love music. music is like a love language for me. And so he had me write out the list from December 3rd all the way up until today's episode. And I was able to come up with every song that I was going to focus on for that week. And the order in which the songs came were sporadic, but when it came upon that week, as that week was approaching, I understood the songs because they focused or honed in on or touched upon something that I had been going through that week. And so that song was really a confirmation and an affirmation for me in some cases. And so just doing this podcast, I've had a closer relationship with God because I've allowed for him to speak to me and speak through me. Because those that don't know, I record this a couple of days before it actually goes live. And in all of the episodes that I have done, not one time have I had to re-record an episode. Everything that I'm saying at that moment, I could have gone live. There was no retakes. There was no editing done. When I say bye and I hit end recording, I post it and schedule it for you all to enjoy on the podcast and on YouTube or Facebook. I never edit any of my episodes. They're all done live in the raw. And so this opportunity has allowed me to see that this is something that I'm good at. Like I can have an outline and I can go off the cuff in some areas or off the top of my head, and I can flow and not go, thanks Miss Sharp at Whitney Young, because she helped me with that too. But I'm just proud of the fact that I have been able to basically hold my own broadcasting episodes and edit them and engineer them. All of the buttons and starts and stops that are happening, it's me doing everything. From the creation of my openings, videos, to the ending credit, I created all those. And so I'm learning new gifts and talents and skills that I have that I didn't have before. And those things are coming in handy in other areas of my life. So when he told me to bring the podcast to an end and I wrote out the songs that I wanted to do, and the date was decided of March 18th being the last episode, I had no idea that the following week I would be diving into something that would take up a lot of my weekend time. So I would not be able to have recorded my episodes because my schedule won't be mine for a while. That's all I can say. But I had no idea what he was preparing me for. And so the week end that this podcast ends, the following week, I am jumping into something that I have always wanted to do, but it was never the right time, physically, mentally, or emotionally for me, or financially for me. And now it is. And I had no idea that it would be taking place exactly 1 week after I end this podcast. And if I had not listened to him when he told me to clear my plate months ago, I would not have been able to dive into something that I've been wanting to do for 22 years. That now he knows I'm ready for. And a lot of the skills and the talents that I've used in this podcast is what has helped me to get to the point in my life where I'm able to be ready to walk into that door that I was knocking at 22 years ago. He is amazing. He is a wonder, as the song says, in my soul. I would rather have him and not need him than to need him and not have him. The way he has moved in my life is amazing. And I am so excited for what's coming. I thought I was going to cry because this was the last episode, but I am so excited for what's coming. Like somebody asked me, I had a PD as an administrator. In order to keep your license updated every year, we have to do these professional developments, but they call them administrator academies. And I went to one Tuesday, and it was called basically figuring out what's your why. Why do I do what I do as far as education or in any part of my life? And I was in a moment in my life where I didn't know what my why was. I had been a little depressed a couple of months ago because I didn't know what was coming next for me, what I was supposed to do, what I wanted to do, which is unusual for me because I'm a planner. I plan out everything. I know what I want to do, when I want to do it, how I want to do it. I have alternatives. If that don't work, then I can do it this way in order to reach the goals that I've set. And for the first time in 20 years, I did not know what my purpose was. And being still and allowing God to move the way that he has moved, he has shown me the new direction he wants me to go in. And because I'm listening to him, yeah, I question him sometimes, but I still question and move. Question and move. And he's been arranging things and moving things and pivoting me and putting me in places that I was never expecting to go. And I don't always understand it, but I trust him. I trust him. And so I'm excited. I'm excited for what's coming. I don't know what he's doing or why he's doing it or where it's going to lead, but I'm excited. He's removing distractions out of my way. He's removing people and negative energy out of my way. And I'm excited. And I can't wait to see what's next. And so as I end this final episode of the Underneath the Hat podcast, which has not only blessed you all for 4 seasons, but it has blessed me tremendously. And so as I look back over my life and I look back over this podcast, there is one sentence or one statement that comes to mind. And I got this from one of my former in-laws, Mother Annie Mae Forte. May she rest in peace. It's a prayer she would always say at all family events. She would say, "We make no excuse for what we have. For this that we have, the Lord has provided, and we are thankful." So I'm making no excuse for what I have. I'm not apologizing for the blessings and the lessons and being able to speak over myself and the hurts that I've gone through because they made me who I am. Because all the things that I've gone through have been necessary. And I'm thankful for it. And I'm thankful for you. So again, thank you, thank you, thank you for 4 great seasons, for 4 great years of podcast episodes and YouTube videos and me pouring my heart and my soul and my spirit out to you, and for you being there to listen as I travel through this life. Sometimes with a parachute and sometimes without. But in all the things that I've done, I've trusted him and I've been thankful and grateful. And I am thankful and grateful to you all. And so, for the last time, thank you for joining me on the podcast Underneath the Hat. And remember to take care of yourself underneath the hat. I love you all. Be good to yourself. Love yourself. You are important. And touch the lives of someone every day. I love you. And until next time, see ya.